Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode here with Feel Good with me. I'm your host, Idan, and today I have the pleasure to have again Viv. Viv is a good friend, and what we would speak to you today about is a thought of how to cope when we don't feel well. As we know, we have good days and bad days, relapses. We may be already stuck in a situation where we're not feeling well for a while. So I just wanted to start on that. What strategies I've found to be helpful? And Viv, I know it's a negative topic and it's not one of them things we want to think about when we do feel well. But I think having some strategies and things planned and available for us if something does happen. Hopefully it doesn't, and we feel we just improve and we stay positive. But if something does happen, I think there's an even saying, plan something or fail to plan to fail, something like that. Although it's more probably for a business perspective. But it's just a good thing to have a small plan in the drawer in case things go upside down. And anyone, regardless if they have a condition or not, can have a down days. But I think maybe because we have the conditions or had the condition or maybe we are maybe it made us more sensitive to what we're going through. Often we become more aware of the environment and of our emotions. So just having something planned and some strategies in place in case something does happen, it's good. It's a good idea. So Viv, if you would share with us some things you learned over the years of how to pull yourself a bit up or just to stay positive in a negative situation or in a difficult time, anything like that would be really, really helpful.
Sure, Ian. I think it's a very good topic to be bringing up. I think that when you're not well, everything goes wrong. If you don't feel well one day and you had these plans, everything just falls apart. But it's good to know what small things make you feel better. Like, for example, sunshine. If the sun comes out and you have the opportunity to go out and stand in the sun or sit in the sun, do it. The sunshine always makes it better. Or so what the main thing I was going to say was sleep as well. I'm sure that you agree with me that sleep is so important. Don't you think so, Dan?
Totally. I just actually recorded an episode about sleep earlier in a response to a post of a mother seeking advice regarding a 19-year-old daughter who only sleeps between 1 to 3 hours every night. And when she's awake, she's so fatigued and weak, she can't do much. And I'm sure for the daughter going through that, it's horrible, but also for the mother to see their child not being able to sleep. So they're both in quite a situation. So it's interesting you brought it up. And yes, I couldn't agree more. Finding ways to sleep. And I guess the first thing is to make the time. Just take a step backward, make the time so you can sleep. And
and if your routine is very good, if you're going to bed at the same time, it's easier to fall asleep, especially if you're having sleeping problems. It's best to turn off all electrical equipment an hour or 2 hours before you go to sleep so you don't have any more blue light. That's a good move. And to start dimming the lights, not have anything too glary. And Wi-Fi. Personally, I know when the Wi-Fi is on, I can feel it. I can't sleep. I've proven it now to my partner. I just say to him, look, the Wi-Fi is on. And he says, no, it's not. I turned it off. And I'm like, no, it's definitely on. We've rewired the house where we live. We don't use Wi-Fi, but sometimes we use it. And I can feel it. And I say to him, look, turn it off. It's off. is on. And 9 times out of 10, the Wi-Fi was on. He's like, how do you know? And I say, I don't know. I can just feel it. I don't feel comfortable. I can't sleep. There are a lot of people, I think, who are affected by Wi-Fi and they don't even realize that they have these electronic things on near their bed. They don't realize that that's why they can't sleep. I definitely would recommend that people try it out. Turn off the Wi-Fi at night, at least.
I agree. Like, I don't know if EMF, like how damaging or not it is on a proven level, but what I know is that many people complain about it, and if you look on YouTube or just a Google search, you will see people becoming very sensitive to electromagnetic fields, and it's something worth trying. Personally, when I used to hold, so I had a mobile phone since the age of 13, I think, and when I used to hold it in my, so I used it until I was well, I've used it from 13 to 20 something in my ear regularly without a real issue. But when I developed my ME symptoms, I've noticed in my early 20s that I cannot hold the phone to my ear anymore. It gives me a headache and make my stutter worse, my brain fog worse. Now, how much it is really genuinely happening, or something that maybe I read and then it made me feel, I'm not sure. I really think there is something to it, and that it has some kind of light radiation. Maybe it's not carcinogenic. Again, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I will try to bring someone on the topic, but I certainly felt the difference. And now I only speak on speakerphone and I keep the phone away from me and my headache gone. Another thing I discovered is that standing next to a microwave, it had the same effect on me. Now, I'm saying these things, and I know some people may think, wow, this guy is crazy. And maybe. But I think if someone feels something like that, and it causes no harm to others by just not using the microwave next to me or holding the phone, so I think we have the case to try it. And indeed, looking it up and seeing other people reporting similar symptoms, then maybe there's something to it. Maybe not to everyone, but maybe to us sensitive people, maybe it could make a difference. So that's a very valid pointer to switch off the Wi-Fi.
I've read the book, Dr. Mercola's book on the subject, and he says, I've read someone else as well, but I don't remember. I don't want to misquote. But Mercola says that everybody is sensitive to this radiation, this 5G, this Wi-Fi. Everyone is sensitive to it, but no, not everyone is sensitive to it, but everyone is being affected by it, but only some people are so sensitive that they can feel it, because it's a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's radiation. Radiation is dangerous. And the people who can feel it, I think we need to pay attention to them, because it's like the canary in the coal mine. More sensitive people who can feel this negative effect from this radiation, they are our warning signs. I think we are warning the rest of the population, the rest of the world, that they need to be careful with 5G and Wi-Fi. And I don't want to sound crazy, but I really do believe it. I can feel it.
Sure. No, as I said, some of us definitely report to feel it, and we should keep away from it where possible, definitely during sleep time. And yes, I'll try to bring someone more educated. I'm not, I guess if somebody would ask me personally, do you think there's a bigger agenda here for someone to mind control us and affect our health? Personally, I don't think it's because of that. Maybe it's just the technology that got too advanced, and potentially it is harmful and we don't know the effects yet. Potentially it's just a few of us who are unlucky and are sensitive, like we're sensitive to chemicals. But again, chemicals are not really good full stop to anyone, even if you don't feel it. But something like that. So I'll try to bring someone to talk to us about these things. Dr. Mercola, I believe, also speak about type 3 diabetes when you put the microwave or the home phones, which are wireless home phones. He speaks about that as well. They seem to spike insulin. Again,
Really? I don't know how I've missed that.
He used to. I haven't followed him for quite a few years. Some of the things he says, I listen, I hear him, and I'm interesting, and he advocates a few good things. Some things I feel a little bit out from me and from where I'm at. But when I used to follow him, like until maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, I remember he used to mention that, maybe even longer. So I'm not sure, maybe he dropped it, but I do remember him speaking about type 3 diabetes that happens when we're next to a microwave. So we spoke about the bed, the electronics moving away, the blue light you touched on, that these are great. I think another thing quickly to drop there is keep your mind clear. So if you have a very busy mind that overthinks and things like that, then either keeping a journal or speaking to a professional, like a talking therapy, that could be great.
Yeah, definitely. Meditation, yoga. Yes. These are fantastic things. Actually, yoga has kept me flexible, and meditation is healthy for all of us. I'm working on it, but it's helpful for everyone. Yes, I think we should all meditate.
I think so. I think so as well. With the meditation, personally, I struggled a little bit, but the thing is, there's two things going on with me. One is the brain fog. So sometimes when I'm brain fogged, I can't focus on. I can listen to someone, to a video, but it just comes in and go out. That's potentially one of the issue. Although when I do manage to do a mindfulness practices, which are sort of meditation, then I really enjoy it, and yes, it gives me a nice like trip, I guess, to call it, like a journey, and you can fall asleep with that. And the other issue with me could be, and maybe some other listeners have a similar, is that I've got ADHD, so attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So maybe that's a challenge for me
to believe.
Yes, to surprise of them.
You're such a calm guy, then.
Yes, and I think when you read about it, it's not necessarily just you have to be a hyper, but maybe your mind can just jump from one thing to another. And I was actually in a special needs class all my education, from the age of 6, I believe, to 18. I was in special needs class, so for 12 years, because I'm dyslexic, but also the hyperactivity was definitely noticeable. So yes, I've got ME, and fatigue and weakness is one of the, and flu-like symptoms are some of the most dominated characters in my life since my early 20s, and they're very noticeable. But growing up, I was actually a very hyperactive child, running around, not maybe screaming, but just running around, speaking quite loud. I would believe things like that. I was definitely noticeable. But yes, we can change, and some of it is for the better. Some of it, we want some of that energy, but I'm sure it will come in time. And also, I'm at a different age. Mm-hmm.
With the sorry, I'm jumping all over the shop. With the brain fog, I just thought jumped to my mind. My sister gets brain fog, and she just found that avoiding gluten is her solution. I mean, obviously that is very individual. I'm just mentioning it in case any listener would like to try that. She says that
I agree.
When she's just had a bit of gluten, she realizes, because suddenly she can't think.
Yes, same here. Gluten definitely has a negative effect on us. And many people suffer with brain fog. So it's just, it's a good thing to be aware of. and to know what things work or don't work, so we can also share with others.
And we're all different, so we do all have to do our own investigative journalism into ourselves on what foods make us feel a certain way. And a food that you could react to, it could take like up to 3 days to be showing a reaction. But if you keep a food diary, then you can keep track of it, and you can say, oh, that's funny. Every time I eat rhubarb, 2 days later, I have a migraine. This kind of thing we can do for ourselves. We don't need to involve anyone else. We can just keep an eye on what we're eating and how it's making us feel.
That's a very good tip, the food diary. I like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep the bedroom nice and quiet, dark.
Yes, dark.
We're going to stay away from electronics, from overstimulation. We're going to keep our mind nice and clean. We're going to seek help, professional help.
Even the phone charger is high EMF.
And by the way, have you heard of earthing, or also known as grounding?
Oh, yes. I do it every day.
Fantastic.
Yes, I think earthing, I definitely think there's a lot to it. Just walking barefoot on the grass, the ground. I do it just in the front garden. I do about 10-15 minutes. I don't remember what is. I think that's a good amount, but I'm not sure that I remember. But you can definitely feel more energized. I feel the energy. What do you feel, Dan?
So for me, it started maybe 10 or more years than that. I've discovered it. And at the beginning, I remember it was very frustrating for me. It made a lot of sense to me that all other humans in nature are grounded. Even if they sleep on trees, there is water in the tree trunks and branches, and so water is a conductor. And if not, they're walking barefoot everywhere, and all animals are. And plastic, rubber, it's an insulator, so it stops us getting that. It comes in the way in getting this. They call it negative. They don't call it, but it's negatively charged ions, which is what you're getting, which is I guess it's an antioxidant or an equivalent. I'm trying to work with Dr. Binder, talks a lot about grounding, and we're going to try to bring to the show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's really fascinating me. It's difficult to me to get to the bottom of it, of what it is, etc., and why it works. I know some people that study physics or something maybe don't see how it could help, but with many things, sometimes we don't have the right tools to measure them as yet. So, but how it feels to me, I can't feel it if I touch it or if I walk in the sea barefoot, which is a great thing to do. But I have a blanket or a bed sheet, and I plug it to the socket, so it only goes into the earth socket. They're not cheap. So at the beginning, when I first discovered, I used to go and sit on the grass for an hour a day, and I was frustrated. I was on benefits. I didn't have enough funds.
An hour a day?
An hour a day.
Do you recommend doing an hour a day?
I think that's what they say about an hour a day is really good, really good.
Okay.
And I was very determined. I would sit under a tree that was just outside the house. It was in Walthamstow. I lived at the time. And I was so desperate to get the feeling, and I believed in it. So even when it would rain, I would just cover my head and shoulders, and I had a rain protective jacket.
But I think they say it's even better if it's raining.
Yes.
If it's raining.
Exactly. And I would take my shoes off and sit there underneath the tree, touch the grass or earth, whatever was available. But then I've managed to, then I found a cheaper option, which was like a rubber mat from a natural, from maybe latex or from a tree. And it has the silver cord inside it, so it conducts, and I connected to the plug socket. And it really started to affect my sleep. So my sleep at that time was about 3 to 4 hours a night, maybe a bit less. it was one of the toughest times I've experienced, the toughest and the lowest that I felt in this condition. And suddenly this practice from 3 to 4 hours a night took my sleep to 5 to 6 hours a night.
Wow.
And the difference between 3 and 4 to 5 and 6, I cannot tell you what a difference this made. And ever since, I've recommended it to my mom, to a few of my friends, and everyone loves it. It's absolutely a game changer. People say it's great for anxiety, for thinning the blood. It's a natural blood thinner because I believe the molecules or the ions in the blood get decluttered or something like that. I'm not too sure. I'll try to bring someone, as I said, to explain to us better. But I can't recommend it enough. It's one of them things I cannot recommend enough. So the earthing sheet, earthing mat, can recommend, if you get one, get the full bed if you can, because if it's half a bed, it always tends to move and flap, and it rolls into a ball in the end, and it's disturbing the sleep instead of helping. So try to get a full bed sheet that covers the bed. Check your house earthing point and to make sure it's working, because some houses the earthing point is not actually connected to the socket, and then it won't work. So you may need to buy an external garden rod. So you put a rod in the garden and then you pull a cable. It comes with a long string that comes to the bed, and you connect.
I'm definitely going to start the experiment. 1 hour a day. I'm going to start it now. I'm going to start today.
Amazing. I think it's and just being outdoors, of course. As you said, the sun, green is important. I'll bring
even when you don't have the sun, like the wind and the rain. Similarly, it can be lovely. It's just when it's cold, it's a problem.
I agree with you. And I'll bring two more things. They're actually the essential oils. A good natural lavender essential oil always does me good, and it lifts my spirits, but it keeps me calm.
And it's good for everything. It's good for burns. It's good for so many. It's good for allergies. Lavender essential oil is one of the best ones because you can use it for most things. It's good if you have a cut, you can put a lavender essential oil on it neat. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like a disinfector, I believe. It's got many properties, and it's just one of them, quite safe to use. It's not too strong, so I like using that for both when I need a bit of a calm mind and just relaxing, and also before sleep. And another thing, when there's two more. Sorry, one of them is hyperbaric oxygen therapy. For me, when I couldn't. That was another step. So the earthing took me from 3 to 4 sleeps a night to 5 to 6. And the hyperbaric chamber, actually to begin with, after the first 18 or 17 or 16 sessions, for the first time in at least 6-7 years, I slept for like 10 or 12 hours straight.
Same here.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear it happened to you as well.
Yeah, well, I was never sleeping as little as you did, but it improved my sleep so much. I was sleeping 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, it was just such a beneficial thing for me. So,
but you know, it can be a real commitment. Well, you know, because you have to go to where there is a hyperbaric chamber, and you have to sit in the chamber for like an hour and a half.
You do.
But for the reason I mention it is because ozone has the same effect on me. Ozone therapy. I have an ozone machine. It wasn't cheap. I think it was 1,000 with include delivery. But honestly, I use it every day. It's the first thing I do is I oxygenate some water, which gives me like energy. And then I do an insufflation, a rectal insufflation with the ozone. And these things feel fantastic. And once a week, I do the ear insufflation. which is another, it feels like it goes straight to your brain. That's the only way I can describe it. It gives me like a power and it helps me with walking. It's just a fantastic machine, really. Is the same as hyperbaric oxygen for me. And, you know, you can do it in the comfort of your own home.
Amazing.
Which is it's definitely a game changer if you have to do it every day, which I think for people like you and me, this is the ideal thing, the ozone therapy.
I think potentially it could be. I looked it up.
So I wanted you to try it.
Yeah, I know. But I have to find a place here in Portugal to try it.
Ozone therapy.
Because it could be something that I'm missing. So it's either a soft chamber home hyperbaric chamber for the home. I saw they have them, and sometimes you can get them secondhand as well. I understand the oxygen concentrator are not ideal, so I need to understand a little bit more on that. But the ozone therapy, definitely something I'd like to bring someone to talk to us, and then to try it, because it's one of them things that I'd like to have a go and see what it does. So
it's another game changer, the ozone. I think that for some people it can be magical. For me, for example, I'm finding it to be extremely helpful. I use it every single day. There's not one day that I don't use it. I have the water and I do the rectal insufflation every day. Like, it must be, I mean, it for my digestion, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Honestly. I can't say it more. Fantastic.
No, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I must look into it, and I must give it a go, because you're on about it for such a long time, and
please do.
Now I feel I'm missing out. I need to try it. I need it. So that's one of them things. So yes, sometimes in our situation we need to use things daily. Like, people have to eat daily and drink daily. Some of us need to take an extra supplement or practice to help us get through the day and through life. And I don't see something bad in it, as long as we research it, and if there's some science to back it up, even better. But we only here trying our best to lead as fulfilling, happy, good life as we can, like everyone else wants to. Yeah. And the next thing I would add here is CBD oil. That's, again, another supplement that was a game changer for me. I was very hesitant to use it to begin with. I had a misconception in my mind that it's a drug and it's addictive and you should stay away from it. But I have a very good trusted friend and old mentor of mine, and he explained me that it is not psychoactive, therefore it is not mind altering or behavior altering or addictive at all. And
it's a funny thing that you should bring up, because you said that you were so reluctant. I was like, give it to me, let me try it now. I tried many different CBDs. It is helpful, CBD oil. But personally, when I tried full spectrum oil, that was a game changer for me. Full spectrum. The thing is, it does affect you, you know. It is a bit like you're using cannabis, because, I mean, they're not removing anything from it, you know. It's all the psychoactive.
You mean CBD with THC inside?
Yeah, with THC.
So that like more like a medical cannabis oil, and of course that has seemed to be an incredible stuff.
But definitely your point is very, very valid. If if you're not used to the effects, let's say, of THC, and you want to be able to do things at the same time, work and, whatever, CBD is definitely a good place to start, definitely.
I think so. It was one of them things, again, that when I took it for the first few times, I slept 8, 9, 9.5 hours.
Wow.
And this is such a rarity for me, but I feel every bit good for sleeping that long. And again, a bit like oxygen therapy, it's something that I need to do, not maybe daily, but at least weekly. And I seem to get the benefits. And indeed, I haven't used in few weeks just because I'm a bit all over the place. Recently, trying to set up the podcast, getting used to living in Portugal and all the things of that goes with settling in. But yeah, I will take some tonight. I'll message myself now that I need to try, and that would be a good thing to try. So true full spectrum CBD oil. If you're in a country where you can get it with a little bit of THC and you would like to try that, then by all means. If not, then just get a true full spectrum CBD oil. So this is about sleep, and we're talking today about how to cope and strategies both to prevent feeling low and not so well, but also strategies to help us come out of it if we do start. And sometimes we just have to hang out there. So don't be harsh on yourself. If you're going through a relapse or a tough time, for me personally, sometimes accepting and finding forgiveness to myself, to what I'm going through, it's helpful. But that's in certain situation. But other situation, you can try sleep, you can try talking to a professional, you can try looking like me. I need to take my supplement. I do feel the difference. Anything else quickly we can think about here, Viv?
I think it's a good idea if you have good days and bad days. I think it's a good idea to keep track of the good days. If you get up and suddenly you're not stiff and you can walk freely and, I don't know, maybe you have better balance. I think it's important to document those days so that you remember that your body is still able to be that well. So obviously not everything is lost, If you can have good days, it means that, okay, I did something right. So what did I do right? We need to be more aware of what the things that we do that make us well, Even if it's, I don't know, watching something funny that makes you laugh. It boosts your mood, you sleep well, the next day you're in a better mood and you're walking better. It's very personal, what people have. At the beginning, I remember I always felt sick, like I felt nauseous all the time. And I was really tired. But now I don't really have either of those problems because I worked on them from the beginning. I learned how to manage them, and it's all very individual, isn't it? But there are so many things you can try, and there's so much anecdotal evidence on the internet. There are so many people who are documenting their health journeys. I think it's worth looking into, but as I say, not attaching to a diagnosis, because that can limit yourself in your mind of things that you're able to do and not able to do, and things that you accept that you shouldn't accept. There are some things that we shouldn't accept. Why should we accept that it's a condition that we'll never get over? I don't accept. I refuse to accept that. That's it. I'm over it. I'm moving past it. But it's an individual journey, isn't it?
It is absolutely.
I think diet is very, very important. I know we don't really talk about it because we both are very careful and we've both been very serious about changing diet. But I think everybody individually needs to look into how they're affected by food. Because really taking gluten out was fantastic for me. Taking sugar out of my diet was a fantastic move. Taking all flours out of my diet, I think that's the best move I've made so far. We don't realize how much food affects us. We just eat it. We shovel it down like it should be fine. But food can be our medicine. It can also be our poison. We have to be careful. And just because everyone around us is eating, I don't know, pork or whatever, without they're eating heavy meats and they don't have any problems. I mean, it doesn't mean that it's for everyone. And anyway, I do think that we eventually all need to become vegan. I do seriously believe that. However, some of us, we need animal protein, or we have to basically work through our diet until we fix our health, until we've figured out our personal needs, our personal dietary needs. We can't just follow the same diet everyone else is and be fine. I'm half French. I can't eat cheese. I can't eat dairy products. Then my gut can't handle them. And I'm half French. My French family says, "Why don't you eat it?" I don't even like it. But or Italians who have a gluten intolerance. Or Italians, What do Italians do if they have a gluten intolerance? Well, you have to give up gluten. Sometimes, all the time, personal health is more important than culture. You have to be able to talk about these things with your family and the people around you. I'm a bit all over the place with my ideas. You're done. I feel like, need to be more organized.
I think you speak from experience, and that's very valuable. And also, you have a very eloquent way of putting ideas forward. You're very well read. You tried many things. And for me, it's always really nice speaking and learning and sharing with you what we are learning. We are here on a journey.
You made me think of something important. Sorry to interrupt you. About liver flushing. Now, it's something that I did right at the beginning, and I'm not saying that it's not a good move, but for me, I think it wasn't a good move. When I got ill, I just did everything I could. And I think personally, I'm very sensitive, and what I should have done is first sorted out my gut issues. And I should have taken it more slowly, because I ran into everything, anything I could do, I ran into it. I said, right, I'm going to do this to the maximum. But I think we need to take breaks, and we need to keep track and document everything we're doing, because there's a risk of doing yourself harm by, trying to get well. If you're liver flushing and you're backed up, if you're constipated and you're liver flushing, all you're doing is pulling the toxins out into your blood. You're not eliminating properly. Even if you follow the amazing liver flush, I've forgotten the guy's name. I followed it. I did what he said. Even if you follow, I think we need to take our time with these things, not rush into them. You need to consider what you're going to do and set your strategy out and go for it, but not do too many crazy things all at the same time.
In that case, first I'll say I also experienced a few liver flushes. I don't know how effective and genuine and really it does flush your liver. I know many people swear by it, coffee enemas, etc. I don't have enough knowledge and understanding. I tried all of these things. They didn't have an impact on me. But of course, I've got a different digestion. I'm coming more from a very loose stools, and I'll just quickly share it. My worst, I would go probably 20-25 times a day.
Oh my goodness!
With to the bathroom with diarrhea, basically, and that would be for years. And the impact of that on you can't leave your house, but that's for another episode. But starting with what we touched, you really touched some important things here. Either we're not feeling well, or we just been diagnosed, or we want to change our lifestyle and diet. How would you do things? What would you suggest to someone? How would you tell them, okay, you're eating a regular diet, your lifestyle is slowly changing because obviously your body is not feeling 100%, or you might be diagnosed, so you are now a bit worried about what to do, how to do. How would you start, you think, wisely, safely, with changing diets, lifestyle?
I would address my own allergies, so I'd get allergy tested. However, it's difficult to be honest, it is difficult to trust, really. I mean, I've had some good allergy testing, but, you know, you have to believe in it. The best way to do it is to document it yourself with a food diary. But I'm talking about over at least a month. Keeping a food diary for a month and being very strict about eating certain things and paying attention to how they affect you and then cutting them out and being strict with yourself. No, I am not eating sugar. I've seen that this drives me crazy. It's not a good move. But anyway, the easiest way, if you don't have the time to do this kind of thing, or money, because it's expensive, isn't it, to not eat, suddenly stop eating this, and what are you going to do with the food that you've bought? What you can do is, I've just had a blank. I had a great plan in my head for what you should do.
So let's say you talked about you have foods in the cupboard, you can eat it. Now you decided you don't want to eat it, but on the other hand, financially, we may be restricted. So you don't want to waste it. Maybe you can exchange it with someone that wants something instead of it. So I think that's where more or less where you were going.
That's not a bad move. And what I was going to say, if you don't have the time or the money to follow all the, you know, discipline to do a food diary, you can start with an anti-inflammatory diet, because most illness comes from inflammation. Isn't it 90 and what percent? I don't know. The rest is genes. I think it's 95% inflammation and 5% genes. I mean, 95% environment, but inflammation comes from the environment. So if you cut out inflammatory foods or things that people are usually allergic to, like gluten and dairy and sugars and flours, you know, and then you try to stick to a basic diet, and you work things in. But there are many books on these things. There are many books on how to keep an elimination diet, I think it's called, the initial one. But if an elimination diet is too much work for you, then follow an anti-inflammation diet. Cut out all of the things that people are allergic to. If you have an autoimmune condition, follow the autoimmune diet. There are diets ready-made for these things. You can start on the diet that's made, and then you can say, oh, but you know what? This also affects me. This is not good for me. I'm going to cut this out. And you go seeing personally what affects you. The thing is that we're all very different. But there are clues. I'll give you an example. My dad started having, his eyes started running, and he was complaining about it. Why am I crying? And I said to him, it's an allergy. And I said, well, you know what? Me and my sister both have a problem with tomatoes and nightshade family. So I said to him, I know it's a big part of your cultural foods, but I want you to cut out tomato, potato, aubergine. You know, I made him cut everything out. And then he said to me, oh, I'm cured. You healed me. And I said, no, I didn't heal you. We were very lucky that it worked. But I knew that he wouldn't follow a diet and keep changing and paying attention. So I said, I just put him on I cut out all of the nightshades and anything that me and my sister had allergies to. And that was enough. So sometimes you can just look in your family and see who else has a problem. You know, I know that my sister also has a problem with dairy. So these are key pointers: dairy, nightshades. Sometimes there are quick ways. You just pay attention to everyone, your family, the foods that they can't eat. Can you really eat it, or is it just that you can handle it a little bit better than your mother? You probably have an allergy too. Allergies are the best thing to sort out first. Allergies and emotional problems. When I say emotional problems, I mean like traumas. Sorry, that's the water guy. He's quite loud. Traumas that we had, childhood traumas, bullying, anything that affected you in your childhood that may be causing what you have today. You know, hypnotherapy. I know that you agree with me, Dan. The hypnotherapy is a fantastic strategy. Really fantastic.
First, you said some incredible things here with keeping a food diary, with trying Googling the allergenics foods, maybe like dairy, gluten, things like that are very common. As you said, nightshade potentially to some people. But for me, with the hypnotherapy, what I found particularly helpful is with the digestion. So learning to envisage I have a better digestion and that I can eliminate better. And I also suffer with acid reflux, and actually I have a low stomach acid. So when I take sometimes hydrochloric acid tablets, I think they're called HCl, and when I take them, which they increase the acid in the stomach, my digestion is so much better. So I've learned through hypnotherapy to imagine me sucking on a lemon, and that sourness brings to my mouth the saliva. It stimulates my saliva just using the imagination. And it was one of the greatest things I've learned over the years to help my acid reflux. Just for to elaborate for a second on my acid reflux, it is to a level where undigested food would come up through my esophagus into the back of my throat, and this could be dangerous. And that's something that would be not daily, but the whole day, every day. So not 1 or 2 times a day. It would just sit there, food would go down, and then it would just not move away. But that's again, that's something we can elaborate more in the future. And I am trying to speak to a gastroenterologist to speak to us about this and these conditions, because some other people may also experience. But what you touched on with the diet, with the elimination diet, I would just add food combining. Certain foods don't go well together. I'm dairy free, but I remember when I used to have dairy, if there was any nuts on the dairy, like walnuts or almonds, I would have an involuntary vomiting session, which I don't wish upon anyone. It would just all come out at once violently, and I wouldn't be able to stop for quite a while. So again, learn food combining, like eating, I know, acids and lemons with oily things. It's good. Apparently helps them break down. But having maybe sour acidic with dates or figs or nuts, I don't think that goes well together. So there's a food combining charts. You can just look them up. Again,
and even I saw a nutritionist recently, and she said to me, two parts, 2/3 good carbs, 1/3 protein, and a teaspoon of fat. She suggested this to me when I told her I was bloated. I said, I don't know what to do. I avoid all these foods that make me bloated. I'm still bloated. And she said, try this. So I tried it, and actually it feels very good. And it's 1 part protein, 2 parts good carbs. That means green leaves, any vegetables or fruit, and then a teaspoon of fats, say coconut oil or avocado, 1/4 avocado, or some olive oil or some olives.
Nice.
And this combination, I found that it works very well for me. I think it's quite digestively balanced.
It does sound. There's actually a famous diet by, I think it's Dr. Graham, if I remember. It's called the 80-10-10, and he speaks about 80% carbs, 10% protein, 10% fat. So your one is 70, 15 by the sound of it, but it's there
not,
about.
It's good carbs, as in vegetables. It's not.
Yes.
I don't actually really eat many carbs. I avoid them because they make me bloated.
Sure, and that's again a valid point. We have to just take notice of what's affecting us and how.
Well, here in Mexico, everyone eats tortillas with corn. With every meal, anything you eat, the tortilla comes out. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not really supposed to eat corn. And in India, I didn't eat rice. And rice is a staple in India, how corn is a staple here. So people are like, what? You know? And people are like, what do you mean you can't eat bread? What? But you have to just accept it and just say to them, look, this is how I eat. Like, this is me. That's why I loved going to your cafe so much, Idan, because it's the only place outside of my house that I could be like, I'm eating this, and this. I can't eat that. Can you substitute this for this? It's the only place that was okay, you know? In other restaurants and stuff, they make you feel like you're being difficult, or it's some kind of fad, it's fashion, right? That you're avoiding gluten. But at the Feel Good Cafe, it was just fine. And what's your cafe called? I mean, what's your bed and breakfast called now?
We haven't got a solid name yet, but I guess it's called Feel Good Sagres, which is the town where we are, and Sagres means sacred. So I think for now we're just going to call it Feel Good Sagres. We may slightly tweak it. We'll see how it is. But if someone wants to have a look on Instagram, it's vegan Sagres. I think if you even look Feel Good Sagres, if you Google, that should come up as well. I will put a link once I have the website. Isabella, my partner, is setting it up, so you can have a look, and you are more than welcome, Viv, of course, and anyone listening, to come and stay. And I can, of course, prepare meals according to your needs. It's my passion. I love sourcing natural foods and doing it.
Wonderful.
And that was the case in the cafe. And I think if you look on Instagram, the Feel Good Cafe, again, I can put a link below. You can see the different dishes we used to do there. But and thank you for the kind words, Viv. Absolutely, it was so important for me to serve the food according to the people. And at one point, this little Feel Good Cafe was number 6 cafe out of any cafe, vegan or non-vegan, in the whole of London. That was in 2019.
It was amazing.
It was. I think it was a Food Guru website, or one of them big review companies rated it as number 6, which was phenomenal.
Incredible.
But I think with most places, when we go to eat out, it's always easier to eat out at home or get someone to help us with that. But if we go out, we need to grab the waiter or waitress by the hand and say, guys, this is not a joke. This is my life. Remember, old Eden said, Eden and Viv, health is your wealth. But someone else said it, probably Hippocrates or someone. But health is your wealth. We want the following. Can you do it? See or no? Basically, yes or no, and and see what to do. Sometimes even calling them beforehand if it's a dinner and you want to enjoy. Just don't say.
There are some places that are good.
Exactly, and you just have to be really adamant and clear. It is our life, our health. I would not let them. Okay, if there's a mistake, it's a mistake. They said they didn't put salt. I can taste some salt. It's not ideal. It's definitely going to harm me. But I had the spoon from it. What can I do? Mistakes happen. But I'm not going to eat the rest of it. I'm going to try to maybe take it for takeaway for someone that can eat it. But I would say, hey, try it. I've asked clearly, no salt, no oil, no vinegar. Can you make it again? And give me this one. or if you have someone that want to eat, but I've eaten from it, I'll give it to my partner. It's okay, but please prepare me again. We also deserve to go out and to have a life. I know we are not, we can't go with the flow like most other people and just get on with things, but it is not our choice. We ended up with a body that is not 100%. I'm sorry, but I'm not. I found strategies. Please support me. And to be truthful, most people, when you explained it to them in that way, they couldn't be more helpful. And also many times I've asked, can I bring a bowl of fruit with me to your restaurant? Is that okay? My friends will drink and whatever and go crazy, but I will eat my and most of them said absolutely is not a problem. And I brought some chopped bananas and dates and nuts and had a meal with my friends, and everyone's looking at me. Actually, it's like you're eating the dessert already. It's the best meal. And I said, I know, that what works for me. So yes, we just have to grow thicker skin, smile, be, yes, and usually people, they get on with it. And because of course they understand. Sometimes it's harder with us if they can't see us. So especially with ME, CFS, and often with many other conditions, you can't really see that there's anything different.
Yeah.
And then people think they expect of you what they expect of everyone else. But we just have to tell them.
I used to get annoyed because when you couldn't tell that I had a problem and I needed to sit down on the bus, and I used to get really annoyed because people used to think I was just taking the piss or taking the seat of someone who needed it. But
and especially with Viv, she always looks beautiful, slim, fit, a young lady, and so people probably think, what, she needs a seat? Is she kidding me? She's probably like 18-year-old. What seat does she? She looks like an extremely fit person. So I can imagine the looks you would get.
But you know, now that I'm walking with a walker or with sticks, I would much prefer to be able to walk without them and it not be obvious, you know, of course. But, you know, it's all a journey, isn't it? We're figuring it out.
It is a journey, and we're trying to figure it out. And I think something which always reminds me why I love doing this podcast. We're a community. We're not alone. There's, like me and Viv, I think from very early on, from the Hyperbaric Center, we had a connection. And I remember Viv always used, so Viv is a very popular person. She has always friends when they're coming to the cafe. The cafe was small, like 20, 25 seats. Half of it will be Viv and a friend and a mate taking.
That's not true. That's not.
But like often was big tables taken care. And I think it's important to have a community just to know we're not alone. If you can find a friend, a buddy, a person, a family member that is sympathetic and can relate, can understand, can listen, it's so helpful.
Even if they're not near you, you know, with technology nowadays, I think health-wise, the two people who understand how I can be feeling the most are you, Dan, and Mariam. And you're in Portugal and Mariam is in England and I'm in Mexico. But knowing that I have you and that I can reach you if I need to, it means everything. So definitely community is important. I agree.
It is. And if someone feels still lonely, that people don't understand them, it is not a shame to find a talking service. And my background is psychology, so I'm all for therapies, and it's unfortunate that part of the stigma, and also the society that brings us freedom and to some of us, to the lucky one, financial independence and some more luxuries than others. Again, whether I agree with all of it, it's for another time. But that with capitalism, there is plus and minuses. And unfortunately, some of the minuses is that people move away. So where before you would see in the blue zones, which is the areas where there's more centenarians than other areas, so people living over 100 years of age, one of the things in Okinawa, Ikaria, Sardinia, in Costa Rica, there's a community as well. One of the major things that comes in all of these elderly communities of people living more to 100 years old is the community. The whole family was born, lived, and died in the same village, and the friends and the work and everything is around the village. So with capitalism, this has changed a bit, and maybe it's the Industrial Revolution a bit as well. I'm not 100% sure, but there's something that people are moving around, and so it is not to be blamed for if you cannot find someone you relate to, or your family moved, or you had to move, or you've been to work or to uni or something, and now you're living pretty much on your own. Then to seek some counseling, it's not a bad thing. That's what it's there for.
Sometimes even to move away. Sometimes family is too much.
That's true.
And sometimes you need to make new friends, and you need to undo yourself from old friends. That's fine. So if it's for your health, then why wouldn't you?
Exactly. And yes, some people by nature or not by nature, even among our family, may be people that put us down, knowingly or not knowingly, and maybe they're not open to talk about it and to change, and that's okay. We're not here to judge. Everyone is on their journey, but potentially I prefer to resolve conflicts where possible. But if it's not possible and you have to remove yourself to get better and to be in a more comfortable place, then maybe that's the right thing for you to do. And if you can find a good therapist, a good talking person to
definitely, I definitely agree. I agree fully with this therapist thing. But psychologist, if you can find a psychologist that works for you, or a hypnotherapist, because hypnotherapy is incredible. It is incredible what you can do with it. But you have to look, isn't it? You have to look and you have to try it.
And you try. And if one person didn't work for you, we all have different personalities, and we may develop a good rapport with someone, and then with another one, maybe you won't gel so much. So if after 1 or 2 sessions you felt it's not, maybe try to find someone else. I would leave below the UK Counselling Association, I think it's called. That's a good starting point. Some of them have hypnotherapy background. I'm personally a big fan of Dr. John Butler. You can look him up as well. But
so am I. Me too.
Amazing. But it's just more of a thing of trying to find who from you reading on their website works for you. If it's important for you to be in person, then you need to look someone near you. But it's for talking therapy, you can do it over Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp. It works fine. So there's these different options. But lovely people, it's getting late for me, and it's been absolutely wonderful as always speaking to Viv.
Lovely speaking to you, Dan.
Thank you very much, and I hope everyone found it helpful and useful. If not all of it, some of it, leave us a comment. I'll leave the social media links so you can get in touch, leave a comment, ask us more questions. And we'll
don't give up. Please don't give up. That's the main thing.
This is such a good closing statement. Do not give up.
No, we can do it.
We can do it. I agree.